Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
You got me there, Will.
You look, sometimes the pregnant pause is important.
I think you might have clipped just a tiny bit.
Look, if I'm not clipping, then I'm doing something wrong, is the way I look at it. Yeah, exactly. How are you lads doing today?
Very good. Very good. It is my 14th wedding anniversary today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I knew in the back of my head, because you've told the story of how you chose the wedding date.
Well, so my wife and I met in November of 2003, and we met online. We met
the internet,
through an online dating service.
You guys were nerve personals.
So I was nerve personal. She was salon, but they shared the same backbone.
Yes, I remember that stuff.
And I had gone deep into the whole nerve thing. Right?
Nerve was a neat, man.
It was
like an artsy fartsy internet community.
It was fun. It was fun. And then I went.
You were too young.
I went too far. I'm not a good single person.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and so 2003, I was in the middle of the first season of MythBusters, and I decided to stop dating, stop concentrating on anything else but what this brand new weird job I have is, and I did, and I spent like the last 5 months of the first season of MythBusters hunkering down and kind of getting to know it, and then we've wrapped in August, but then we got back together in late October, early November to do some ancillary shoots, to travel to different places. Went to NOAA in Asheville and interviewed different people around the country, finishing up at the Empire State Building, I believe, if I'm not incorrect, and then getting on a plane, coming home and thinking, oh, it's time to date again. And I found a message in my inbox from Julia. As you know, if anyone who's been out there dating as a man, you know that getting messages from women is a real rarity. It's much more it leans much more to the other side.
Okay.
Right. So she had found me because I had mentioned Raymond Chandler in my, among the other things.
Classy.
And we started dating, and almost immediately we had moved in with each other within 3 months.
Wow.
We decided to get married.
This will clearly never last.
5 months. And we started looking for places to get married, and we went to the Marin Headlands Art Center, which is an amazing venue out here to get married. As my wife pointed out, it is magnificently beautiful, whether it's sunny or absolutely stormy. Like
sucked in fog, it's all good.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful building, having been restored by a bunch of architects, chief primarily, I believe, David Ireland, who did things like peeled some of the 90 years of paint off the walls, but not consistently, so that there's this whole calico color scheme across. Yeah, and it's a big open kitchen in the reception area. So, so we asked them, can we get married this year? This is like April of 2004. And we're like, can we get married this year? And they were like, no. And we're like, really? You don't have any Saturdays? Because we didn't want to get married on a Sunday. We want to get married on a Saturday because, all the reasons.
Yes.
All the reasons. And they said, no, we have no Saturdays available. And there's a certain...
Wait, what are the reasons for getting married on Saturday instead of Sunday?
So that you can sleep in on Sunday and stay up late on Saturday.
And if you're asking people to fly in from elsewhere, asking them to fly home on Sunday night or Monday morning is a pain in the ass. Yeah. So I have this thing. When I was first building stuff here in San Francisco, I'd go to a hardware store and I'd go, I'm building a prop and I need a chrome ring about this big. And the guy would go, we don't have any of those.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, how do you know? I haven't even described a product. And then you realize, oh, what I really want is that thing that goes around the bottom of a toilet bowl. And you're like, you buy it and it's a chrome ring and it fits for a prop.
It's the maker's equivalent of Clerks.
Yeah, and there's a way in which people say no that I have learned to not believe. If they say no too quickly, I'm like, you don't have all this information in your head and I don't believe you. And so we called the Marin Headlands Art Center, who are delightful to deal with, by the way, but they said, no, we have no Saturdays. I'm like, no Saturdays? And they're like, December 27th. And I'm like, okay, get you, but we're not going to get married on that day.
You called my bluff?
Do you have, seriously, no other Saturdays? Well, we do have one. September 11th is open because no one wants it.
Oh, boy.
And we thought, you know what? Let's make this a good day. It is a day of serious remembrance and a day that affected all of us really deeply. And we're not making light of it by getting married on that day, but we really it's a testament to the fact that we knew what we wanted and we knew we had found each other, and that was really important to us. And so we took that day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I will tell you that we got Cha-Cha-Cha.
The place in the Haight?
The tapas.
I
Well, they're
love
also here in the
Cha-Cha-Cha.
Mission.
Oh, yeah.
Cha-Cha-Cha. If I'm not incorrect, and if you work at Cha-Cha-Cha and you know different, let me know. But I believe it is the one and only time they've ever catered an outside event.
Ooh, wow. Sangria.
We had an
once took a
open
nap.
mojito bar. It was phenomenal. And Cha-Cha-Cha was fantastic. I will tell you, if you're going to cater a wedding and you can get restaurant workers as opposed to caterers, restaurant workers are in the service industry, and Cha-Cha-Cha's team could not have been a better service team for our wedding. They were like, they showed up early, they rolled up their sleeves, they helped with everything.
It's a tapas place, just
Yeah.
so you. So for people who don't know, so it's like a lot of small plates, and it's perfect for wedding because like it's a million little bites, and yeah, that sounds really good.
And
You go
a
for
legendary
right
San
now.
Francisco tapas
Yes.
place. It's a place up in the Haight, has had a line since I lived here since I moved here in 1990.
We've all taken naps under the table there while we're waiting for the food to come.
Exactly.
So
14 years,
as an anniversary,
half a billion seconds.
Wow, that's a
Give or
good
take.
way to measure it.
11 million
there
seconds.
are traditions.
Half a billion.
A million seconds in a day, and in 11 days, right?
Yeah, something
Ish.
like 10 or 11 days. Yeah, and
Yeah.
a billion seconds is like 27, 28 years.
We're not good at orders of magnitude. Humans are anything above them, even at the million level.
Well, it helps that time
and
is
stuff.
at decimal too.
Yeah.
That makes things more complicated.
Anniversaries, though, there are traditions for the first couple years of anniversaries. Things you're supposed to make things out of.
Well,
or
each
gift
anniversary
in.
has a material.
Yes,
that, yeah.
associated. Do you adhere to that as someone who makes things? Do you say no? I'm going to eschew that and do my own thing.
A little of both.
And for both of you,
Gina and I said after our daughter was born that each anniversary has become the taking each other for granted anniversary after that, which is kind of a joke, but maybe not as much as it should be.
Well, yeah. When you live in each other's pockets, you know all the things.
Yeah, I mean, working at home in a small house, maybe not great. Don't do that, probably.
I will tell you for the very first anniversary, which is paper. I bought a new lap desk, like a campaign desk, and I weathered it to make it look old, and I carved Julia's name in the
awesome.
cover, and I filled it full of custom letterpress stationery. Because we are big fans of letterpress. We order a lot of it from Etsy and from local sellers here in the Bay Area. We have stuff custom made, thank you cards and things like
there
that.
are quite a few letterpress places in the Bay Area.
It's a
that
great
still
place to
practice
be
it.
into letterpress. Yeah.
I last year I made a picture frame. I designed a picture frame using my incredible illustrator skills, and then cut it on a laser. And
She did about 8 minutes worth of work for it.
well, I'm slow. I'm slow with the illustrator. But here's the hack: is I got my daughter to write in crayon. Mom and dad, mom plus dad, and because it was in crayon, when I vectorized it, it made it all speckledy and interesting, and so then I burned that into the surface, so it was personalized.
That's very cool. So like 10 minutes.
Well, look, it took a long time to get her to write mom and dad. That was at least 30 minutes worth of cajoling.
The machine did the rest of the work.
And then the machine,
Do it again.
yeah.
Why? Because this year, 14th anniversary is a controversial material. It is ivory.
Oh wow, that's out.
Wow. Ivy color, something? A soap bar?
The thing is that my wife has a real penchant, as every sentient human does, for elephants. They are magical and incredible creatures. And so perhaps she's going to get something to do with elephants.
So you getting her a pet elephant?
Yeah, exactly.
Adam, I got bad news for you. I don't know if that might be too big for your house. Your yard's not big enough for an elephant, man.
I'm not a fan of the material, and just in general.
No, I find thoughtful is better than
weird.
material.
The 10th anniversary material is tin.
Yeah, the 25th is lube. Who knew?
Wow.
That's how old you were when you got married.
Yeah. Sometimes some people it's the 35th.
Well done,
We're
Norm.
making
Sorry,
Norm
Norm.
sweaty.
Norm is blushing.
Yeah, I know.
We made Norm blush.
I'm just going to go buy random things on Etsy.
Yeah, that's a good policy.
That is hilarious. Well, hello, gentlemen.
So I had not to bag on Etsy, but I had a conversation with some artist friends of mine the other day.
Yeah.
Who were talking about the problem of bootlegging.
Right.
People who make prints in I don't want to out anybody, but people who make like custom art prints, and they're finding constantly people are hitting them on Instagram and saying, "Hey, I saw one of your things over here, and it doesn't look like it's your store." and they mentioned like Teespring and some of the DIY T-shirt places, but then they also said Etsy is a big home to that kind of bootlegging, and I was kind of surprised because I had never really seen it there, but I also kind of don't.
Etsy and eBay.
Yeah,
there is a Twitter account that I follow called For Exposure.
oh yeah, that's
And it's basically all the shitty, awful messages people get from people who are stealing their stuff. So this is, you reach out to someone on Instagram and say, hey, you're posting this without attribution, it's mine. And they get like, F you stupid, you're just an artist and I'm giving you exposure, you should give it to me for free.
Well, the Mark Fraunfelder posted a great one the other day that was like the whole dialogue from, hey, I'd like to commission a print, to fuck you, no, $250 is too much, it's for my kid dying of cancer. And he's like, okay, well, if it's your kid's dying of cancer, I'll do it. I'll do it for $200. And he's like, no, your work's not worth it. I was like, you're the one who reached out to me because you wanted to commission me.
Right.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and it's not just for prints. It's anything anyone makes.
It turns out you can't eat exposure.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, exposure won't pay your rent.
I remember a musician friend of mine going, if one more person calls me from Cafe du Nord and tells me it'll be for great exposure, I'm going to kill them. An old venue
Rip
here in San
Cafe du Nord.
Francisco.
It's gone, isn't it?
No, it's back.
Oh, okay.
But it's now like it's separated into multiple rooms
Do
down
they have
there.
a juice bar down there or
It
something?
just never, the old
Sounds
heyday
bad.
was great.
Yeah,
I'm also interested from the artist's perspective how important having something licensed is to them. Like, if an artist is great and they're doing their own professional work, but also on the loves drawing something out of Star Wars, for example, how important is it that they work with a company that gets them a quote unquote approved license to do a Star Wars print? If then that means
so like somebody like Holly.
Yeah, but then that means that they give away the rights to their work to Disney, and Disney gets to put all of their work on T-shirts, and they never see a cent of that.
Well, I think if you're the artist and you're doing that work for hire and you're established, then you charge what you charge and know that you're never going to see residuals, continued
So
income
if you're
from
making
that.
a transformative piece of art,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter that it's somebody else's IP necessarily if it's a transformation of the original work and you're making a cultural commentary on
my
it.
question
Am I
is, how
correct?
important is it to be validated by having your work be officially licensed?
I think if you want to sell it, it's very important because if you don't, then Disney will have you take it down.
as a part of your professional career.
I don't
think it's very important at all. Because we're talking about if you're some small person wanting to make a little, wanting to draw something from Star Wars, Lucasfilm has no interest in talking to you about that.
Well, unless right up until the moment that you start selling it.
I'm not even sure that's true. I think a lot of companies pay attention to who is selling and at what level they're selling. And they're really only like, I remember somebody from high up in Lucasfilm explaining to me, this is 15 years ago, that they know everyone who's selling stuff. They really only concern themselves with people who are trying to make a big profit.
You think there's a spreadsheet somewhere that they're like, here's a spreadsheet of all the Etsy stores, and they're going to, executive order 66 or whatever to send it all the C&Ds?
I think that I think Adam's right. I think there's an absolute threshold.
And it's different for every company. Clearly for Mattel, just saying the word Barbie, they want to charge you $1.
Yeah.
Right? But Lucasfilm has actually been really terrific about letting its fandom explore itself without molestation. Now, they do send C&Ds all the time, but they send them to people who they can tell are attempting to make a real dime on their IP.
Or sometimes when the thing that they're making dime on is in direct conflict with a license that they have, a contractual relationship with another company.
And those contractual relationships come with responsibilities for policing that IP. Yeah. That's totally understandable.
But then they also clearly take like a blind eye to things like RPF runs where people are, banding together to recreate props, because in a lot of cases, like the fact that there's a big community of people making Stormtrooper armor and R2D2s and Boba Fett armor and all of the different kind of cosplay stuff has a massive follow-on benefit for Lucas in terms of the fact that they can go anywhere in the world and in exchange for a donation get some Stormtroopers to show up and Stormtrooper around their event is great. It's good for them.
And I will tell you that when we put a Star Wars gag in the touring show that Jamie and I did, Lucasfilm was actually very easy to deal with. with on that front. No money exchanged hands. It was a limited license to do this thing. They saw video of what we wanted to do. They gave us parameters. The funniest one was, if you have lightsabers on stage, you're not allowed to actually cross them and pretend to have a battle.
What?
That was a hard and fast rule. That was the hard and fast rule.
What if you cross arms?
It is not canon when you cross them and they do not create the sparks.
Yeah, clearly that's the hill that they decided to die on for their IP, and I totally understood that. For the rest of it was they were totally great.
Maybe they just don't want to deal with somebody doing a fake decapitation with a lightsaber.
I'm going to ignore that comment and move forward. Look, your question speaks to a thing that I don't think that anyone who wants to draw something that they want to draw should feel inhibited to do it because it's somebody else's IP. I love DeviantArt for all the exploration, the deep, even the Rule 34 exploration of other people's IP.
That too, it turns out,
exactly.
And that's how you get to a place where you can create your own stuff. Like, that's the pathway.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You make what you can't not make because you're a fan of these things, and then you can, after you're doing that, maybe you get bored of it, and maybe you start making derivatives, and then becomes original.
Obviously the internet's packed with people doing exactly this, but there's the other half of this equation, which you were talking about in the beginning, Will, which is you make prints of your own thing, and somebody else rips it and is selling it somewhere else in the world as theirs.
Yeah.
And this is one of those ones where it's a complicated issue. It's not complicated. Whoever's doing that with other people's IP is shitty, and that's bad. But how much energy should you expend as an artist and someone who hopes to make a living from your work? How much is it worth your time to go deal with that? My thinking is, in most cases, probably not much.
I mean, that's the place that this conversation went is, I just mostly say thanks and ignore those because it's not worth chasing those down, because the takedown process for all the different sites is involved enough that it's not worth the hassle to stop somebody from selling 3 T-shirts.
Well, isn't that the problem with the infrastructure of that?
But it's absolutely a problem with the infrastructure.
It is, but I mean, shitty people are going to be shitty.
Right. Like, I mean, you're never going to beat the assholes.
Yeah.
And even YouTube, which has massive content ID, like this.
That's the flip side of it.
Terrible technology.
Sony's been taking down Bach, Brahms, and Beethoven recordings because they're claiming they own them.
Somebody trademarked certain pitch scales, and like there's birdsong. Specifically samples of birdsong.
Oh my God.
Gets nasty. I remember, Norm, in early days of Test when we first started putting stuff on YouTube, people would steal our long videos and put them up with the audio, with our audio gone and the audio of a film, I think slowed down or sped up. I can't remember which one.
Why?
So then you would play that and then the film on another tab, and you'd play the film that goes with the audio and speed up the audio so it wouldn't get content ID'd. So you'd watch a movie on YouTube, but you had to do all these ridiculous hoops.
But
yeah.
Okay, but so
those people always figured out is the point.
I want to go to a thing that Bill Hicks once said. The famous comedian Bill Hicks, talking about people stealing jokes. I'm going to munge this because I don't remember the exact quote, but I think he was defending the idea that you shouldn't worry too much about people stealing your jokes, because if you think your career is based on the jokes, you're wrong. What he points out is that the more your jokes have intimately to do with you, the more you they are, you have the monopoly on being you, and no one else can steal that monopoly from you. And to me, that's a fascinating thing to hold in your head. It's not necessarily like someone selling something in another part of the world is bastardizing your income, even though what they're doing and what they're representing is really, it's awful to see that happening.
Hey everybody, Norm here. Before we continue on with this week's discussion, I want to thank the sponsor of this week's episode, and that's Campaign Monitor. When it comes to email marketing, there's so much more that goes into creating smart and effective campaigns than what meets the eye. That's why Campaign Monitor created an easy-to-use email marketing platform, complete with a simple drag-and-drop email editor and award-winning 24/7 customer service. Campaign Monitor gives you everything you need to run beautifully designed professional email marketing campaigns to grow your business. With their gallery of beautiful email templates, all of which look amazing on every device, you're bound to find something that will make your brand pop. And since Campaign Monitor uses detailed lists and smart segments, your messages instantly drive more engagement. No wonder it's used by more than 250,000 businesses worldwide.
Now, Still Entitled listeners have the opportunity to try Campaign Monitor for themselves without spending a dime. Sign up for your free trial today at campaignmonitor.com/untitled. Once again, that's campaignmonitor.com/untitled. On with the show.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's in startup world, people say, you know, ideas are worth nothing because it's the execution and the time you spend making the idea into a thing. But one of the questions you always get when you're talking about ideas with people is how defensible is something? And in startup world, that means, you know, patents, or, you know, do you have a technology lead? Do you have some sort of core technology that nobody else has developed?
How unique is it?
Yeah, is it something that once you establish a market, then nobody else will be able to come in and take from you? Or if Facebook comes and does the same thing, are they going to immediately decimate you and just because of their sense of scale?
Right.
And for an artist, it's very different. Because, you know, you're much better off just going on and doing more work, and moving your art forward. So you're always making something that's newer and more interesting and better than what you've done before.
We did come across, or in the early days of Mythbusters, probably like 2007, 2008, we came across a evangelical, abstinence-based church camp that was myth-busting about birth control.
Wow. And
I hope you nasty gram the shit out of them.
Using Mythbuster logos and calling it like Mythbusting Camp about, you know, here's why abstinence is better than any. I mean, it was one of those like.
At that point, you take them to court, and all you ask for out of them is for them to go back and teach those same kids the actual truth. 17 children were born at that camp the next year, it turns out.
I mean, and this gets talked about all the time on the RPF under the header of recasting. We've talked about recasting on the podcast before.
A long time ago.
It's a complex issue.
Because somebody there's original work done by whoever did the initial sculpture cast or whatever.
But they were doing it for, look, I mean, all prop collecting, when you're collecting replicas, unless it's from NECA or, you know, any one of those other places that has licenses to do this stuff, you know, half of these helmets are somebody having custom sculpted somebody else's IP, and I bought a casting of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all stolen goods, Adam. I feel like
all the parent companies have gotten their pound of flesh from me over the years.
Probably.
Yeah, what do we stand on that? Like garage kits, right? Like the thing. I love looking at garage kits online. I love buying them. I love if they're Star Wars kits and they look good. I will buy one. But I also find myself loving a lot of the original stuff. I'm looking for a lot of original stuff more.
Like the Cosmonaut that you guys did a few years ago.
Yeah. And because because like I have a lot of the stuff, and if I wanted Star Wars stuff, I could go to Target. I could buy something licensed. I like celebrating a lot of the original stuff more. And when I go to conventions, it's the same thing. But I have no problem with the garage kits that are Star Wars based or Star Trek based or license based. Because they fulfill, they exist because someone else hasn't made that product yet.
Absolutely. And the high-end tricorder market for tricorders from across the Star Wars spectrum is really, really wonderful. And it's as Master Replicas and every other prop company that has gone out of business, it is really hard to service this fandom. Either you have people with so much investment in the knowledge of the prop that they're going to find problems no matter what you do, or you have people who aren't invested and can't see why they should spend $750 on a noisy cricket from Men in Black.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it cost when it came out, but yeah.
It's a really neat looking thing, though.
Oh no!
Do you have one here?
Mine is on my. It's in the home collection.
Yeah.
You can buy the original.
I'm good.
Oh, it's for sale in here.
Segue us?
This auction
tangent segue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you cracked this, Will?
No, I don't get those anymore. Nobody sends me anything cool anymore.
We have one for you if you want, but you should crack this.
I'm talking about, for people listening, Prop Store of London's upcoming September 20th, I believe, annual auction, and they make a catalog for it every year.
This is like the Sears Wish Book from when I was a kid.
This is of all the years that I've known Prop Store, this is the auction that blows my mind for what's in here. Han Solo's original
Muppet head on that
Empire
page
Strikes Back. Here's
head.
one of Teddy's from AI.
Wow.
Indiana Jones hat and whip
is that a
are
Michelle
for
Pfeiffer
sale.
Catwoman?
Yep. Oh no!
That's the prototype Avenger Captain America shield.
Yeah.
Every page has something good on it, Adam.
No, it's ridiculous.
Is that an actual DeLorean? Oh my god!
Yeah, it's insane. This catalog. There's a couple of pieces I might actually bid on.
Freddy Krueger's hand.
This is one that has like foldouts. It's gratuitous.
Will is responding to seeing an original Indiana Jones hat.
Oh, it's from Raiders too.
It's from Raiders.
Wow, they think that's going to go for $250,000. Holy Toledo!
I don't think that they're necessarily wrong.
I may or may not have touched that hat.
Really?
May or may not.
Put it on your head.
May or may not.
Well, I may or may not have touched it too, Norm. That is an impressive catalog. I'm going to have to take one of those home. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is maybe the most impressive collection
I'm
I've
sell
ever
my house
seen
and buy an
being
Indiana
auctioned
Jones
at
hat,
once.
Adam.
What's that?
Sell my house and buy an Indiana Jones. Kid, I got good news for you.
I got good news and bad news.
Yes.
The good news is I own Indiana Jones'
So
hat.
I have a cool hat.
The bad news is you're never going to college.
Also, it doesn't fit.
The best part of these auctions.
Actually, Harrison Ford's head, I happen to know it's 58 centimeters, precisely the size of my head.
Yeah, my head is a lot bigger than that.
So my Raiders hats are canon.
The best part is going to like a prop meetup event where there are some FX guys who worked on these movies, and they'll flip through a catalog list and like, what? That's going for £15,000, and I made that in 2 hours that one night before a shoot day because the set decorator needed
but it has
But
intrinsic value.
the flip side is much more common, which is the spaceship from the movie will be the miniature spaceship from this B grade movie will sell for $3,000 when the production company charged $25,000 to make it. But back to your point about garage kits. I'm going to speak right now to people who might be considering doing a small run of garage kits and say, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, just go for it. The fact is these big companies like Sony and Lucasfilm, they don't sue you out of the gate. They send you a cease and desist letter. And that's the shot across the bow that says, you're bad, stop doing this. And
in a garage kit, you've already sent them all out. You're already done. You're just not going to sell anymore.
Right.
So you've already won.
Yeah, and nobody's getting rich on garage kits. They're expensive to produce. They're hard to make right. And anyone who's buying garage kits and then recasting them with bubbles and crap on eBay just deserves to be beaten about the head and neck with like a wet noodle.
Right, and there's a whole level of buyer beware.
That was
there.
elaborate,
Really
wasn't it?
intense.
Right, like getting in. If you
Want to advocate
the
violence.
violent
No,
libs.
I didn't want to advocate violence.
If you get in on a run, it is a risk, and it's not like licensees like don't sell kits of their own. Like Novo sells kits and stuff like that. But what you're also paying for there is some amount of trust that they have quality control and that's been approved by a licensor, and so it is a gamble.
But, when you buy something from Dave Goldberg, like he has a reputation that even though people buy his kits and rip them off all the time, you know that when you're buying from Dave, you get a high quality product that requires very little extra finishing before you can start to do the fun stuff.
So to go back to the question of when you should start seeking out licenses, because I've talked to a couple of artists about this too.
Yeah.
The consensus I got was that they felt like once it became a core part of their business, licenses, it's appropriate to license. If you're doing like a one-off because you wanted to have a Boba Fett poster for your wall, and then you just made a run of 50 for friends, who cares?
Well, and a lot of places have very different licensing thresholds. One of the reasons there was no Blade Runner products for the longest time is because the consortium of fighting lawyers that owned or that controlled the rights
like Weyland-Yutani
to Blade Runner were like requiring a massive buy-in just to start.
Yeah.
Right? You just had to guarantee them a certain amount of income.
Well, it all grew out of the 80s and early 90s when licensing was much bigger because of Star Wars.
Right.
And people creating
The film that established
product.
licensing.
Right.
Yeah,
The product that is the film wasn't the product anymore. It was the greater world beyond that.
Yeah.
In the in the collectible market. But the reason to make garage kits, the reason to buy garage kits is because they, for the most part, offer something that you can't buy from the store, which is an opportunity to make it your own. Like you're not buying a finished thing. You're buying the potential to turn it into something your own. And unless I can buy that readily and easily from Target, from Toys R Us, which doesn't exist anymore, I'm still going to buy the kit.
And if you want, like many years ago, before I did MythBusters, when I was working at Lucasfilm, I decided to replicate Henry Jones' Grail Diary from the third Raiders film, and I actually made an edition of 10. And I sold them and I traded the others away. And like I've always said, it's not much harder to make 10 of something than it is to make one of something. Although I sat there sewing book signatures and printing it all out, and no double-sided Xerox machine actually has correct alignment. So I had to hand.
Really?
The alignment of two-sided printing is absolutely terrible when you need it to be mission critical. Like you need marks to line up. It's amazing how far I had to hand feed every single page of 2,000 pages. Yeah, it was a lot of work. But to me, that was an endeavor of love, and I didn't consider myself legally exposed in any part of that process because it's such an esoteric piece, and no company's ever going to make dough trying to make one of those
it's
accurately.
not worth the time to even send you a cease and desist for 10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to go and play with the stuff artistically that they can't get out of their heads. Like on that small run stuff, you're not that exposed.
Steal away.
And often when you make an esoteric piece and you find out there's a market for it, you can parlay that into a relationship with a licensee to use that as a prototype to get that turned into a real product.
Because the fact is that while the corporation itself may be like, you shouldn't do that, I guarantee you, if you're making a lovely piece of Guardians of the Galaxy, the director or cast or art director or different people in the production probably are aware and really think your work is awesome.
It's funny because Lego has actually made this a part of their business,
right?
Because their whole Kusu/ideas line is stuff that came out of the community that were community fan builds,
Genius.
and that now they make products out of them. I mean, their product obviously works a little bit differently than everybody else's, but it's there's an argument for engaging with the community on this if you're one of the big IP holders.
What a missed opportunity. Once Disney owns all the brands and all the characters.
I mean, 2 years from now.
Right. They can do mashups as official licensed mashups.
Right. Well, I mean, Lego did that for a long time.
Frozen Guardians of the Galaxy mashup.
Exactly.
Well,
the stuff
Princess
that you
Leia
see
is a Disney princess.
at Dragon Con. Why can't... Yeah.
It was the Lego Dimension stuff, which was like their Toys to Life game, their Skylanders type thing. You could get kits that were Back to the Future and Portal and Star Wars, and I think even Marvel and DC. And they would all kind of like when you put the little dudes on the platform, the games would put them all in there at the same time.
Oh, neat!
So you could have Luke and the Spider-Man all in the same.
I dig it.
Yeah.
How would Spider-Man do against a lightsaber? I don't think he'd do very well.
He's pretty fast though.
I guess so.
I mean, I feel like being able to see a little bit in the future works for both of them.
That's a phrase I've heard in many of these debate panels.
Maybe
at Comic-Con.
Maybe
I don't care enough to think really deeply about it.
I guess so. You're right.
Maybe Spidey sense makes Luke a Jedi.
Hold on, I'm gonna look. There's some unbelievable stuff in. Oh.
Yeah. You just opened a random page and then went, oh.
Well, because I opened to a spacesuit.
That thing makes a real clunk when it hits.
No, it's a heavy duty thing.
Yeah.
If they were smart, they would design this catalog so that certain pages, when you flip it, would open to certain pages as the most popular things.
We used to do that in the magazine.
Oh, really?
We which folds are going to be the ones that open easier because of the way the printing works.
Oh.
And you put the high value stuff there.
You put spreads on those usually.
Oh, nice.
Or ads.
Before I forget, I need to. I'm going to say this on the podcast. We need to give my mom a premium tested membership.
Oh yeah, no problem.
I'm a terrible son and I forgot to do that. I know.
My wife even has a premium tested membership, Adam.
So will you just help me do that right after this?
We'll do that right after the podcast.
We'll get her on the horn.
On this, if people don't have the paper version of the catalog, I'm sure there's an online version people can look
at Prop Store of London.
Just propstore.com.
Propstore.com.
Yeah.
It is an astounding collection of Hollywood memorabilia.
I think it's a really cool Lando Calrissian jacket on the cover.
Wow.
You troll.
You're so troll. Wow.
What's going on the site this week?
Yeah.
Hey, well, Adam, tangentially, you just released a new T-shirt.
I did.
You're wearing it.
Bum, bum, bum. Savage in the NASA font.
Very good.
Yeah.
Your name works very well in the worm font.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's I couldn't be more pleased with this. The production shirt, the logo will be actually slightly lower than it is on the shirt I'm wearing. This is one of the prototypes they sent across.
So there's a tested in the NASA worm font. We made years ago.
We made years ago as a limited run.
Yeah, and then there's that one. Did you have to make were the letters that weren't N, A, and S? Did you have to imagine them, or was there a full font for that?
I believe there's a full font for this.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Okay, because the G looks good. The E, it's okay.
It's leet speak. It's a 3.
Yeah, it's a backwards 3.
Yeah, Cotton Bureau's selling those just like the past shirts. So you just go to cottonbureau.com and the Savage Industry shirt should pop up.
And like before, it's a print on demand. So
it's print on demand,
be a few weeks before you get them, right?
I will tell you, there is an off-white in this run. Am I right? Is there an off-white in this run?
I believe so. I saw one as a prototype.
I love Cotton Bureau.
I'm not sure if there's an off-white in this run. Maybe you should remove this part.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I'm psyched about these shirts coming out. As always with Cotton Bureau stuff, they're so soft.
They're so good. And for soft shirts, they wear unbelievably well. Like this one's almost 9 months or a year old.
Yeah.
I wear it every week. Like it's the first one I pull out after laundry day.
Do you know the secret for T-shirts to last forever?
No, just
never dry them.
But then
I'm sorry, never dry them in a tumble dryer under heat.
But then
Cool dry.
Yeah, or hang dry.
Yeah, but
Then you get
where'd
wrinkles.
I have to have like a laundry line or something.
Where would that happen?
I know.
Yeah, where would I put that? Be all out.
Dryer balls.
It's
right?
too
Use
fog dry where I
balls.
live. Yeah.
Dryer balls.
What are like they dangle off the bottom of the dryer? It's like for your truck.
Like truck
They're
nuts.
essentially like truck nuts, but you put them in the dryer.
What?
And they bounce around.
What?
And they help fluff your stuff
I
up.
have hedgehogs for that.
I remember when I was a kid, and my mom used to wash the down blankets. You'd throw a sneaker in there to keep punching the blanket to keep it puffy, so it doesn't all gather in one section.
I did the down blanket last weekend, and it turned out this weekend I learned that there was a tiny little hole in the down blanket. And let me tell you, when you open the dryer after that, it's a big surprise.
I remember
It's
being
like a goose exploded in there.
I remember being 7 years old and having a pillow fight.
Oh no!
And one of the pillows totally exploded, which, I mean, fills the room.
Oh, yeah.
It is unbelievable how much there is. And then my sister and I had this huge argument. My mom was like, "You got to clean that up." And my sister was like, "Well, you were holding the pillow." And I'm like, "No, you got to," right? So I lost.
How do
I
you
had
even
to clean
do
it
it?
up.
You just get a shop vac?
Yeah, you get a vacuum. And here's the best part. You go up to the pile of feathers and it disappears into the vacuum instantly. And then we had a huge fight about who got to use the vacuum to clean it up.
Oh man!
It was like a Huck Finn reversal. Like, it was so much fun to vacuum up a pillow's worth of feathers.
I like how this podcast has turned into a home ec class.
What I did was just taped a garbage bag around the dryer hole and pressed the button.
That's hilarious.
Didn't work. Just for the record.
It's the equivalent of holding the dryer's hair while it throws up.
Yeah. Look, I asked myself, what would Tim Allen do in this situation? It was
Why
not the
would
right
you
choice.
ever ask that question?
It was a terrible idea.
He's a fictional fix-it man.
Fair.
Go for Norm
Fair.
Abrams or
Look, mistakes were made. It's the name of my new podcast. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
That was a particularly funny one.
That was a weird podcast.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And before I let you go, I want to thank the sponsor of this week's episode that made Still Untitled possible. That's Campaign Monitor. When it comes to email marketing, there's so much more that goes into creating smart and effective campaigns than what meets the eye. That's why Campaign Monitor created an easy-to-use marketing platform complete with mobile-friendly templates, a simple drag-and-drop email editor, and award-winning 24/7 customer service. No wonder it's used by more than 250,000 businesses worldwide. Still Untitled listeners have the opportunity to try Campaign Monitor for themselves without spending a dime. Sign up for your free trial today at campaignmonitor.com/untitled. Again, that's campaignmonitor.com/untitled. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.